Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self Protection Extra. Today I had a fan who asked me how they set their AR-15 carbine up for them as a left-hander and if I had any advice, and I do. So I'm a lefty and this is my defensive carbine. It's a Lone Star Armory TX-15. And so I just want to show you how I set it up specifically for me as a left-hander to use as effectively as possible. Palm pepper spray has recently reformulated for even more effect when you bless the deserving with the hot sauce. Palm is what I use between a harsh word and a gun and encourage everyone to do likewise. There's plenty of choices on this rifle and we've talked about them in setting up your defensive carbine. Don't want to talk about those in particular, all of them, but I really want to talk today about how I set this gun up as a lefty. Now, I do want to say it was mostly made for me this way. So I set it up this way when it was built. But if you were to buy an off-the-rack gun, it's going to be right-handed because 85–90% of the world is right-handed. The goofy part for me is actually a right-handed throw right-handed. That's why I wear my watch on my left hand. But I shoot left-handed, both pistols and rifles, because I'm left-eye dominant. Picked up rifles when I was a kid, hunting with my grandpa, small game. And when I picked up pistols, I just thought I was left-handed, so I did. Stupid. I should have picked up my pistol with my right hand because I'm a converted righty, but I didn't. Anyways, I digress. Let's talk about this particular rifle, and I really think there are 4 items that I set up as a lefty uniquely or particularly for me as a left-hander that are not the way you'd find a right-handed rifle. And some things that some lefties really do that I don't care. First and foremost, you notice this is a right ejecting rifle. I have not bought a complete mirror image left patterning, mirror image rifle. I think you can do that. I don't have any problems with it. I just don't think it's necessary, and that's very unique tooling, and it makes the rifle something that really only like 10 to 15% of the population might want if I were to sell it. And I want a rifle that if, God forbid, I got to hand to my wife, who is a righty, she can run it as well. So basically what I've done with this rifle is I've set it up fairly ambidextrously. Let me tell you how. I've turned it around so you can see the first thing that I've done here is I put an ambidextrous selector switch on it. So ambi selector switch is, to me, the #1 thing that a lefty wants. And the reason for that is that you righties here, we're always using our thumb to actuate the safety selector, right? So the first thing that you want to do there, so it's getting in my light a little bit, is here as a lefty, if I pick up my carbine, I don't want to have to use my trigger finger to actuate and disable my safety and put my rifle on fire. So instead, I have this little ambi switch over here. Now this particular one is short on this right-hand side, which is all I need. So what I tend to do as a lefty is I will use my thumb to activate my safety, and then I actually use my trigger finger. When I come off the trigger, the safety comes on, and I actually use that trigger finger and swipe backwards in order to get my safety back on. So first thing I do to set up is an ambidextrous selector switch. You can get those. I think the first one I ever bought was the Battle Arms Development one, the Badass, Battle Arms Development ambidextrous selector switch. So they call it a Badass. And I forget how much it cost me. It took me like 5 minutes to install. I'm certainly not going to show you how to do that. It's really easy to do. Next thing that I've got here is an ambidextrous charging handle. And of course, the reason for that is if ever I have a rifle go down, your first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab a hold of that charging handle and run it real hard to see if it was just an ammo problem. Well, if I only have a latch on this side, then that is a pretty significant problem. And then what I have to do is I have to turn the rifle over super hard this way, come over the top and run it. And that just ain't what I want to do, quite frankly. So what I have got here is, if I pull this out, I got no relationship with them at all, but it's a Radian Raptor is what it is. I really like the Raptor. There are a couple people that make a large ambi charging handle like this. And any of them can be good. I've used BCM. I really like this Radian. It's the thing that I like about it is that, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, is that it pivots off both sides, so the latch is on both sides. So when I grab it like this, it pivots both sides and then it pops off on that side. So it doesn't put torque on the charging handle like some other ones do. These aren't super expensive. I think 75 to 100 bucks. I haven't looked at prices on them recently. That's the next thing that I want. So those are both pretty easy to install on your AR on your own. Won't take you long. Put in a new charging handle takes like 10 seconds, right? Next thing, of course, is the sling has to be oriented to the correct side, which means I need a hand guard that has a spot for my QD mount, or to mount this on the right side of the rifle. Most of the aftermarket ones that I've seen do that. If not, like this one here, you know, you've got plenty of rail space that you could mount a much farther forward you know, sling mount if you wanted to. Could do that on either side. This particular rifle, again, it already has a QD mount here on both sides, so I just mount it to the right. Now, some folks will recognize that the way that I have this sling mounted here, I can actually reverse it fairly quick if somebody else is going to run this rifle. I do. I like that. And I get that puts me in a minority. I know a lot of the high-end guys like to mount it over on the side and have it go over the top. I get it. That's a topic for another day, but you just got to mount your sling correctly. Final thing, and this is kind of more of a preference on a rifle this long, is I have mounted my white light on the other side. So I keep mine on the left-hand side, and that's simply because if you look over here, I'm not in any danger the way that I have this rifle held of having my hand over where the light is or anything like that, or certainly out in front of there. That'd be, for me to do that and mount, man, my hand is way out in front like that, too long. But I still like to have it set up with ambidextrous controls. And in particular, this particular tail cap does not have a clicky on it. So I mounted it a little farther forward, and I'm using a mod button light on top. So I've got ambidextrous controls on there as well, so that I can get to it as a lefty. You could just as easy mount it over on the right with a clicky tail cap or something like that. That would be okay. But this is how I have mine mounted so that I can use it left side. Then if I have to transition over to the right side for whatever reason, I have a gun that I can run on this side too. I know some folks talk a bunch about, you know, should they have an ambidextrous bolt release, right? So this is our bolt catch or our bolt release. And do you need an ambidextrous bolt release? I personally don't. I don't think that is that important. But if you wanted to, I don't necessarily think it's wrong. But all the ones I've seen kind of run through the trigger guard, and I'm not a big, humongous fan of that, quite frankly. So I just run mine like a righty. So you can do that with technique, right? So as a lefty, the technique here, so I'm reloading my rifle, the rifle comes in, I push that in and pull, right? Because we always do a push-pull technique. So, and have an unloaded magazine here. So it might be a little harder because I don't have a snap cap in it right now. But I can, because I have long fingers, I can reach all the way up here and get it. Okay, so if I wanted to, I can just do that if I want to, because I have enough finger length to do so. Is again, insert and push pull, drop the magazine with my index finger, go to work. That's one method. Other method I've seen plenty of people do, insert, push, pull, come around with the support hand and push that. Again, a little hard because I have an empty magazine in here, and then drive the gun and go from there. So that doesn't bother me. The other one that you'll see people talk about is the magazine selector. I think that, you know, I've talked to a lot of cops running a carbine dry in a gunfight, kind of rare in reality, right? So if you're gonna get all the way to running a carbine dry in a real private citizen gunfight, whoo, doggy, right? With 6 or 7 servings in the gun, man, you've really had a bad day. So I would say not really something I worry about too much if I run dry, right? So if I go, oh no, I'm all the way at bolt lock and I'm not doing a proactive reload in the middle of a fight, because if I'm doing a proactive reload, the bolt lock back, I'm gonna go get my secondary ammunition source, hit the magazine release, put my new one in, right? So that drop it to the ground. If I'm empty, I can do this one of 2 ways. I come over, release, and then go get my fresh magazine and put it in. Or again, go grab my magazine, release with my thumb, and insert the mag. I've done them both. They work perfectly well, and since the gun is very close to me, it does tend to cost me about a half a second in a gunfight on the timer, you know. Okay, that's just what I'm willing to do, because again, getting one around to the other side is, I just haven't found a great way to do that. So pretty simple. This guy's set up for me as a lefty. Again, charging handle and selector switch, I think, are absolute musts. I think that having an ambidextrous light is smart for a host of reasons, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. Set my sling up for lefty, and yeah, ready to rock.